0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Phixated podcast. I am your host, currently overlooking Canada, Mike Azzolina, and I am joined by my good buddy, Regzy. Boo, I wish you were sitting next to me, pal.
Likewise, man. I wish we could sit next to each other during every playoff game.
Different vibe for me today, man. Sitting in a hotel during my lunch in Michigan. We really wanted to do a preview of this series with the Miami Marlins. So we're jumping on at lunch, give you this episode right before game one of the wild card series. It'll be out a couple hours beforehand for everybody to enjoy. We're super pumped. I mean, the vibes are at an all-time high. I'm in Detroit, Michigan. There are a bunch of other Philly fans with me at a conference. We got a whole plan, Regs. We're ready to rock.
Yeah, you got like a ballroom set up. You're ready to go. I'm just gonna, I'm just gonna be on my couch. I'm not sure. I wish I, could be in the same room as you. Because
I mean, here's the thing. This is going to be one of those nights where if you're listening to this and you're usually somebody that texts me relentlessly during a game, I'm going to have to text you because we are streaming the game.
Yeah.
Which means I will not be, you will be ahead of me probably by a good pitch or two.
Right.
With us streaming. So I'm just putting it out there. If you're listening to this ahead of time, breathe and I will text you my response and reaction to all the things that are happening. Please don't do that to me.
All right, everybody. He's just talking to me, basically. He's reminding me not to text.
No, this is for a lot of people. My phone gets absolutely barraged during playoff games, which is cool. I love that I connect with so many people on Philadelphia sports. It's one of my favorite ways to connect to people. But if I'm behind you and you ruin a big moment for me, I'm not going to be happy.
Yeah.
Just not going to be happy. But that's just a fair heads up that I try and give to people. But you're right. We have one of these huge screens set up. I'm going to take a picture and tweet it out later. In one of our ballrooms that we're presenting in. So I'm going I present at 6:30 tonight, right up to 8 o'clock.
Oh man.
And I'm going to fly up to my room, throw on my Phillies gear and fly back down.
Yep.
And be ready to go. I think there's like 10 of us that are going to be sitting down there watching the game. I just hope they're all as intense as I am, Rex.
Yeah, probably not, but you're good at navigating those kinds of things.
Yeah.
We'll be all right.
And so we're gonna just before we dive in, we are gonna do a reaction after tonight's game. So you'll get that tomorrow. And then Regs and I are both at game 2 tomorrow night.
Right.
So you'll either get your reaction to game 2 on Thursday afternoon, or if the vibes are really high, we will record it. We will record it after the game at some point, and you'll get it on Thursday morning. So yeah, man, let's jump in. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time today.
Let's do it.
We just want to quickly jump in. What's your vibe level at? I don't think I have to go too crazy in asking you this, but what's your vibe level at?
I believe, like most of Phillies Nation, that video's like, I'm ready to go. They shouldn't release those things so early. They released it at like 10 a.m. And I'm sitting here like getting ready to pound my desk and get pumped up. And I'm like, oh, wait, I have like 11 hours to go until we can watch this game. So, kudos to the Philadelphia sort of video team for putting together an unbelievable video, but you gotta release it a little later. I'm not, most of the tweets I'm seeing is like, well, I wasn't working that much anyway. Now I'm really not working because I'm just too excited. So
I tweeted it out the same thing. Like my focus level was at like a 4.
Yeah.
Like percent,
right?
Not a 4 on a scale of 1 to 10,
right?
Like a 4%. And then that video came out, and now I'm like if you could be in the negatives, I am so far.
I've spent a full percent just watching the video. I feel like
I'm up to at least 12 views.
Yeah,
at least 12 views.
So as much as I'm pumped I still have a good amount of Philadelphia sports fan trepidation just because, we can't be too excited.
No.
But overall, I'm just pumped. I want to hear the stadium. I want to like just get ready to be in it tomorrow night also. So I'm ready to go, man.
Yeah, for sure. I think very similarly, my vibes are at that point of like, feel good. I feel pumped. I definitely think that the stadium atmosphere could really eat this Marlins team alive, especially if you see a quick first from Wheeler and the Phils get on the board right away. That might take all confidence out of this Miami team and put a whole lot of fear and trepidation into them. I do think the other side of that is if somehow the Fish come out and put the Phillies on their heels a little bit and the stadium gets tense, that could really impact the team. So that the stadium vibe goes both ways, and that's sort of where my headspace is going into the game. So a little mix of both, but I think it's that way with any series. Right, this Miami team, and we're going to talk about them here in a moment as we get into keys. But this Miami team is a very similar story to what the Phillies were last year. They're not as talented of a roster as the Phillies team was last year, but they're a team with nothing to lose going into another team's place. I do still think the Phillies were a better team than St. Louis last year. It's I think the difference is this Phillies team, they're experienced now in the postseason. They're playing at home, which is a nightmare place to play. There's going to be a lot of energy, a lot of confidence, and I'm just curious to see how Miami counters that. Let's dive in. Go ahead.
No, that was it.
Follow up on that.
It was it. It was just like this team. Someone made a really good point earlier. This team plays in front of a morgue. Like they haven't heard this much noise in their stadium since the World Baseball Classic was there. Like that's been the loudest their stadium has ever been. So I think
it's a very good point.
It is a little bit like the Phillies in terms of they're coming in as like, going on they hit a pretty good run here to win some games to get to this seed. But I don't know. I'm trying to think of the positives that like the Phillies went into St. Louis and everyone talked about it when they came to Philly after St. Louis. It's like, oh, everyone talks about St. Louis as being this great baseball place. And it's like, no, you haven't heard anything, man. You don't know what this is supposed to be like. Yeah. And so the Marlins are about to learn what it sounds like.
That's a great point. I didn't think about that. They do play in front of nothing. Like there's nothing there. So that could do one of two things. It could put you a little bit on the defense, like, holy crap, this is insane, or it could juice you.
It could.
So I'll be curious to see what now, what would have been really helpful for Miami is if they kept a guy who had some experience in this setting on their roster. I understood that, that was not possible for them based on the struggles that guy was having. But, having a guy like Gene Segura who's played in it.
Have him throw out the first pitch.
Well, we're going to get to that. I want to get your prediction on that because there was some stuff flying around earlier. I'm curious. So, okay, let's just jump quickly into the Phillies roster. You've got your normal 8. So JT will be catching, Kyle will be DHing, and then it'll be across the infield, Bryson, jumping over to third, Alec, and then Trey, and then right field will be Nick. Center field, my assumption tonight is Rojas.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure what they're going to do in left. They could show a ton of confidence in putting Marshy out there. My guess is it's either going to be Pache. It's probably going to be Pache defensively, but they do have. So there's 9 of your 10 of your players. Yeah, 10 of your players right off the bat. The other ones that I didn't mention, Edmundo Sosa will be on the roster, which is no surprise to us. Jake Cave will be on the roster, which came as a little bit of a surprise with how left-handed heavy this Miami team is. And then Weston Wilson, obviously Garrett Stubbs, but Weston Wilson was sort of the surprise when they left off Michael Lorenzen. Weston Wilson was the other piece of the puzzle, which is good, I think, from the perspective of now you could go Pache to start the game. If they go a righty, then Marsh could come in. If they go back to a lefty a little later, then Weston comes in.
Yeah.
So, there is the potential for that. The other thing they could do is start Wilson in left field and use Pache late in the game for defense if they choose to do so. I would love to see Wilson's bat in the lineup, actually. So, I think I'm good with whatever.
I'm happy that he's here. Castro was a nothing. Like, you can't have that guy being your righty bat off the bench. You just can't. He can't do
Right.
it. At
Right.
least Wilson
Right.
came up, got some confidence. Hopefully he won't be too nervous by the moment, but he's got some power at least that, he can put a charge into a ball. I would like them, I think. I would like them to still play Marsh. I understand this past month he hasn't been good against lefties, and I get that. And if you have to eventually move him after, let's just say he's 0 for 3 or something like that, then you bring Pache in and you let him go. Like, Pache hasn't been that good either, to be quite honest, just against anybody in this past month. So I kind of would like Marsh to be in there just to see if he can kind of get it back again, and just give him a little confidence. I understand that Topper loves the matchup part, but like, I don't know, Pache hasn't been hitting that much better. I get it, the defense is better, but it's left field at Citizens Bank Park. You're not in Arizona or, even in Miami, where that would be a much bigger difference.
Yeah. Couple of things that I want to jump off of before we go into the pitching. Weston Wilson also gives you really good at bats. Like,
Yes.
the dude's approach is actually really solid.
Yeah.
I was very impressed by his approach when he was up for that short stint earlier. I think it was in August. The other thing that I want to mention with Marsh is his last swing against the lefty was a home run.
Yeah.
So there is a little bit of confidence there. I think for me right now with him, you said, the defense is better with Pache. It is, but we're not talking the drop off that we're talking when you go
Sure.
Pache to Schwarber. Like,
Yes.
Marsh's defense is totally fine and even better in left field.
Yeah.
So, I think it would be nice to see Topper show some confidence in Marsh, but I also know Topper's mindset, which is going to be, we want the right-handed bat. So I'd fully expect to see Pache or Wilson in the starting lineup tonight. Which will be an interesting bottom of the order because Rojas will be hitting ninth.
Yeah.
So real quickly, the pitchers, not a whole lot of surprise here. Alvarado, Sanchez, who will probably pitch out of the pen, Soto, Strahm, Suarez. Suarez, if it gets to a game 3, my assumption is he'll be there.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, though, Taijuan Walker is on the roster.
Yeah,
so
that
leaves it up in the air.
I don't like that.
It leaves it up in the air. Yeah. Game 3 is up in the air. Wheeler's obviously starting tonight, Nola tomorrow, and then the other righties in your pen, no surprise, Sir Anthony, Orion. Is it Orion or Orion? I think it's Orion. Yeah, I've heard it.
Orion.
Depending on who you, Orion, Kirkring, Craig Kimbrell, and Jeff Hoffman. I keep hearing announcers say it differently. But let's do this, Regs. I don't think there's much to react to there outside of the Taiwan thing, but we cross that bridge when we get to it, if we get to it, and hopefully we don't get to it. So I do think we see Sanchez out of the bullpen in this series if things go awry and you need an early exit from one of your starters, which you just hope isn't the case.
Yeah.
So let's jump into keys, man. I think for the Phillies to win this series, we obviously want to talk keys to the car. So what, in your opinion, is the biggest key to the Phillies winning this wild card series and moving on to play Atlanta starting on Saturday?
I think it's the bullpen. I think it's the bullpen's ability to maintain a lead in a close game. Everyone's talking about how the Marlins are 31-13 or something, or 31-11 in one-score games this year. So the bullpen's ability to maintain a lead in this series in particular is going to be really, really big, because all it's going to take, it's like we talked about in the beginning. If they come out and get a run early, that is what it is. You say all the time, like, give them 2 in the first, and then like we got plenty of time to figure this out. But it's when we're up, maybe it's only the 5th inning, or the 6th inning, and we're up 4-2 or something like that, or we're up 5-3 or something like that. And like, the heart of the lineup's coming up and Topper doesn't want to roll out. I don't think this would be a case with Wheeler in the 5th inning, but let's just say, on Tuesday, they don't want to run Nola out one more time. They have to be able to come in and keep that a 2-run lead. Like, the Marlins, we've seen be able to work themselves back into these games over and over and over again, especially against us. So the bullpen's ability to maintain the lead, because I do expect that we have it. I have confidence in our offense to be able to hit and score better than the Marlins. But if our bullpen can't maintain it, that's what kills you in this series. It's a 2-game series. Like, we live this. If St. Louis holds that lead in game 1, I don't know if we win game 2. Even as good as Aaron Nola pitches, I don't know if we win game 2. Like, let's just be honest about it. To go into that next game, having won the first one, coming back like they did, it almost set the entire rest of the playoffs up. And like, that's what we're fighting against. That's what could happen when you're the favored team, and you're at home. So they just have to be able to not just not blow it, but if you come in with a 2-run lead, leave with a 2-run lead. If you, again, it's in the 1 to 2 range. If you have a 3-run lead and it goes to 2, okay, you did your job. It's all good. But the 2 to 1 or the 1 to tied, that's where momentum changes. And this bullpen needs the confidence that they can shut teams down now, so that when we go to play the juggernauts like Atlanta or the Dodgers, they're feeling good about themselves.
Yeah, I'll be curious, because Topper was very clear in saying like it's going to be like a matchup bullpen late inning by committee type of thing. What he did last year. And I have no problem with what he did last year. I thought he managed the playoffs masterfully. Like I fought everybody on that. People who were mad about Wheeler coming out of the game, I was like, dude, it worked all playoff. Like it didn't fail one time until the biggest moment. So now we're all saying it was bad managing. Like hindsight's 2020. Yeah, of course. But in that moment, I wasn't mad about him going down.
Shocker, Yordan Alvarez is really good. If anybody
and Jose got him a couple of times in that series.
Yeah.
So, that felt like the right move. Obviously it didn't pan out, but is what it is. So I do think in this series, if you get to that spot, I mean, like if you're facing Chisholm, right, in like the 7th, that's where you're going to see Alvarado. You're not going to see Alvarado in the 9th in that case, because the probability that Jazz Chisholm's hitting at the top of the order, and that you want Alvarado to go through that part of the order, so that you just, now you've eliminated them in the 7th inning. And if the rest of the pen does their job, you might see Chisholm with a 3-run lead, which doesn't matter anymore. So I agree. I think the bullpen will be really important, but I think the management of the bullpen will be even a more interesting narrative to follow throughout this series, because I'm curious to see what he does with not a ton of arms being super successful late in the season. Some bright spots the last month, or the last couple of weeks, not the last month, but the last week or so. Sir Anthony's looked a little bit better when he's come out of the pen. Soto's been good. Alvarado's been entirely Alvarado. And of course, Orion Kerkering has been just an absolute gem of a call up here at this point in the season. So I'll be curious to see what the plan is in kind of the disposal of these guys throughout the series.
I really think that I think that Wheeler's gonna have a pretty long leash, to be quite honest, unless it's really going off the rails. I would expect it. If like you said, if it's the 7th inning and he's at 97, 96 pitches or something. Again, if Chisholm is coming up for whatever reason, he might not face him. Or if Arias is coming up, whatever it is, like Topper's going to go to the better lefty. Oh, again, if we're up 5-0, Wheeler probably just sticks it out and he gets through the inning and that's it. But in the like what we're talking about is those close situations where it's a run or two. Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah, and I'll be curious about Arias, because I know that he was banged up. So
apparently Schumacher said it would take a lot for him not to play.
Of course, but that
who knows what that is, right? We've seen him come back. Even in one of the last series we played against him, he was a little hurt with something, and you could tell that his swing was different. It wasn't the same guy. Right.
So, just depending, of course, he's going to be on the field. He's still the batting champion.
Right.
So you're going to put him out there, but just his effectiveness, we'll see how banged up he really is. My key kind of goes back to what you're saying about what's the lead going to look like? And a lot of that falls on the offense. It's been an offense that has been incredibly frustrating at times, but equally as impressive at other times. So what offense are we going to see in this series? And Regz, just have this weird feeling that we're going to see them put it all together. It has been a year of this guy's hitting, but that guy's not. It's been a year of when are they going to all come together at the same time? Waiting on that, holding our breath, like waiting with bated breath. I'm like, when is this going to happen? And we've had some struggles over the last month with certain guys who haven't struggled all season. Like Bryson Stott was horrific.
Yeah.
And then he had a 3-hit game to end the season. Cassidy's starting to heat up. Schwarb's got into a little bit of a funk, but homered twice in the last series. Bryce he's just, you know how badly he wants to lift a trophy. So I don't anticipate Bryce coming out and not being Bryce.
Yeah.
Trey is going to have his first postseason in Philly, and I just feel like he's fed off this energy all year long. I think we're about to see it.
Thank goodness he's fine, by the way. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, for sure. Alec, the same thing with Alec. Like, what are we going to see from Bomer, who's hit 20 home runs for the first time in his career? Are we going to continue to see that power surge? I think we are. JT's come around a lot. So, Regz, I think, if the big bats do their job, and I think if Wheeler has a quick first or gives up a run, something like that, and the Phillies come back out and get a couple of guys on base, I want to see, look, Jesus Luzardo is incredible.
Yeah.
He is a very talented pitcher. I just don't know how he's, as a young pitcher who's not pitched in this environment, because every ball he throws, that crowd's going to get a little loud. And it's going to get a little louder. And before you know it, you get two guys on base, and who's sitting in there in front of you? Bryce Harper.
Yeah.
And you got to pitch to a dude who's going to be locked in and has showed last season that if you make one mistake in the postseason, you're going to be down 2-3 runs with one swing. So if this offense gets out there and jumpstarts itself right away, and again, it's a very tough pitcher. So for the casuals that are coming in, don't get frustrated right off the bat if the Phillies aren't hitting. This kid is good.
Yeah.
And they do not hit him at all.
No.
So you got to understand, like, don't be sitting there cursing him up and down. Yes, it'll be frustrating, and we don't want to lose the game, but this is not a bad pitcher. But the key to this game is the big guys that we're paying a lot of money, especially the right-handed bats, Trey Turner, Nick Castellanos, and JT Realmuto. And yeah, I'm going to throw Alec Boehm, even though he's not getting paid a lot. He's still very important. Those guys have to do their job.
Yeah.
They're paid to bring in runs. I do think Kyle Schwarber will find his way on base. He's going to be annoying and walk, but then Trey needs to do something.
Trey has to do something. Yep.
Right. And look, we know Bryce is going to have professional bats and be a really tough out, but hitting behind him, Bomer has to do his job because they're not going to let Bryce beat them.
Right.
So, and then you've got your righties to follow. You've got Nick, you've got JT, and you're probably not going to see Stott until like that 6-7. And I think they're going to split it because the Marlins are just loaded with left-handed pitching.
Yeah, they got to alternate just to not make it easy.
It's probably going to be Bryce hitting cleanup tonight. It's probably going to be, or no, Bomer hitting cleanup because it'll be Schwarber, Trey, Bryce, Bomer, probably Stotty hitting fifth. And then you'll see a line of righties following that. It'll be JT and then whoever's playing Nick,
JT,
then JT,
Nick, JT, and then Pache, Rojas, possibly.
And then Pache and Rojas, or Wilson and Rojas. It's just going to be a stacked righty lineup. So I think the key to the series is the lineup producing the amount of runs that the team, that this annoying, frustrating Marlins team doesn't even feel like they can come back from. Those 3-4 run leads are going to be really important.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I know, and we'll get to our predictions here quickly, and I won't belabor this, but it comes down to the Phillies offense has the ability to make this series a nothing, regardless of what the pitching does. The Phillies offense has the ability to win this thing by themselves. And if they can do that in game one, it's going to be huge. Huge. Because then it shows the Marlins that, like, look, you got no chance. Like, when they're swinging, when they're hitting like this, that's it, man.
Yeah. And what it also does, and we'll stop here and go to our predictions. What it also does, Regz, is it puts the rest of the playoff field on notice.
Yes.
That the Phillies are going to hit these guys because these are two good pitchers they're facing in games 1 and 2. If they come out and they hit these guys, then you're sitting in Atlanta and you're like, gosh, we do not want to deal with this Phillies team again. And I know how good the Braves were this year, but I will tell you right now, that Braves team does not want anything to do with this Phillies team.
Especially if they don't have Morton or Freeze until the championship
if
series.
Fried's banged up.
Right.
Yeah, if Fried's banged up. That's again, Spencer Strider can't pitch all 5 games.
Right.
So you got to find another
You need
arm
to win
or two in this
4, right?
Phillies
You need
lineup.
to win 4.
You need to win 3, but
Sorry,
still,
3,
yes,
5 games. Sorry.
That's all right.
Yes.
But it's a very difficult lineup if they're all clicking. And
Oh,
if the
yeah.
Phillies can send a message to the rest of baseball tonight and tomorrow night that this offense is clicking. And if the offense is clicking with Wheeler and Nola going well, then
Yep.
good luck.
Yep.
Good luck. And I do think we're going to see Aaron Nola go well. So we'll talk
Yeah.
about that, in our post game.
I just think
he's going to
because
go well.
the thing it's like you said, the thing that scares everyone about the Phillies is the offense. It's not the pitching. The pitching has shown, cracks, and so does every offense. But if you see a clicking full Phillies lineup from 1 through 7, like everyone's scared. Everybody.
Yeah. No one wants to have to deal with a 1 through 7 of Schwarber, Turner, Harper, Bomer, Stott, JT, and Castellanos going well.
Right.
Because if that 1 through 7's going well, as a unit, if they're on base and hitting, it's a freaking, especially at the stadium.
Well, yeah.
If you're a pitcher and there are 2 runners on base with 1 out and you're sitting there facing Bryce Harper or Kyle Schwarber or Nick Castellanos, bless your heart.
Yeah, and
like they're
just
very
locked in. Yeah.
It's very uncomfortable because they fuel off that energy. We saw it all last postseason, and it's not going to change coming into tonight. So, Regz, into predictions. I want to get a fun prediction from you first, and then we'll do our game predictions. Fun prediction being there was an interview on Philly's top marketing directors, and he was asked about the first pitch, and he said it's going to be the talk all day tomorrow. And the Joe DeCamera said the talk of like the city, the sports, or like the world. And he said the sports world. So that took Taylor Swift off.
Yeah, right, off the board.
But who, like, they did it all last year, and I don't know who, like, what surprises would be left. And I have a couple of thoughts in my head, but any names
I have two, and I'll go quickly because they don't need much explanation. Number 1, I think Gene Segura would just be hilarious. I think it would just be so funny. Just perfect. I just think it would be perfect.
In a Phillies jersey.
Exactly. Of course. Because just of who they're playing, that would be... If they were playing the Diamondbacks, of course, you wouldn't roll Gene out there. I just think that would be fantastic. Yeah. Number 2...
Actually, I think Gene played in Arizona, so that would be...
Well, there you go.
Funny.
But again, it would just be really funny, the team that released it.
Yeah.
Number 2, and this is a long shot, obviously, but if at all possible, I want Charlie there. I think the place would possibly be louder than any home run that's hit.
Yup.
Again, he's obviously dealing with all the stuff he's dealing with, so I don't think that's a possibility. Yeah. But if it somehow got cleared and worked out, Chuck, man, I want Chuck there.
It would be awesome. I do have Gene Segura as a Diamondback for 1 year, so that would have been
okay. Fun. There you go.
I also thought Gene Segura. I thought that could be a really cool scenario. I threw out Joel Embiid. I don't think he's ever had a first pitch in Philly, but it could be that could be fun. But I don't know if that's the talk of anything.
Right.
Someone said it would be hilarious if like Cliff Lee came back because we haven't heard from Cliff Lee in like forever.
That would be pretty good.
But here's a fun one for you. We haven't seen him in a Phillies jersey since like 2013, and he just recently retired. Cole Hamels.
That's not a bad one either.
That would be, and I think if you're talking talk of the sports city, Cole Hamels could fit that. Yeah. But Gene Segura would be gold.
Yeah, mine was either I was thinking about Cole or I was just thinking of Howard Utley Rollins, 3 pitches at a time. Just give him.
I think that like they waited to do that till the end of last year.
You're right.
But Charlie's also a good one, Regz. That
Cole would be a great one.
Charlie would be a great one because of everything that's happened.
Right, exactly.
and his ability to get out there would be wild. So, all right, man. Or series predictions. What do you have?
2-0. I want to be there when they win this thing because
Yeah.
I don't know how a Braves series would go. They're just so good, and they're just very scary. I understand what we did last year, but this is not that Braves team that we played last year. So they can't go out in the first round. This team can't do it. Playing at home, you have to go take care of business. We'll see what happens with the Braves, but like you got to just take care of business, and I think they do that.
In name alone, it's a very similar Braves roster. In performance this year,
Oh my god! Like
every player had a career year.
yeah,
So,
and yeah, it's scary.
one more fun name just to throw out there that I didn't think
all right.
of before, and I thought of right now. Rhys Hoskins.
That's a good one too.
That could be really imagine that, because it's one of those, look, we want to give the Rhys one more moment with the crowd, and this is a great way to deliver that moment.
Yeah.
Rhys throwing a ball out to Bryce would be pretty freaking
that would be
special.
pretty cool. Yeah.
So maybe I'm just changing my pick from Cole to Rhys. All right, I got Phillies in 2, Regz. I think that this Phillies team is so locked in right now. They have one goal, and it's to get back to that series and win it. And I've said this on the show, and I've said it to multiple people at this conference that I'm at and multiple people outside of this conference. If the Phillies get back to the World Series, and that journey is going to be hard, it's going to be difficult, it's going to be long. But if they get back there, they're winning.
Yeah.
So to me, this series scares me, I think, more than any other series, because I think we saw last year as they won, they got more confident. And I do believe that like they see this as like, hopefully they're looking at this Marlins team as themselves.
Yeah.
And you jump this hurdle, and then you play a team that no one, again, it's house money for them. People, I've seen one person predict the Phillies to beat the Braves, and that was Tom Verducci of MLB Network, and he picked the Phillies to win the whole thing. Otherwise, most people that have picked the whole playoffs have the Braves winning it all. So I got the Phillies in 2, man. I think tonight, they set a tone, and I think tomorrow they continue that tone. And I think it's going to be a little bit easier than what we expect. Not a lot easier.
Yeah.
I do think that the Marlins are going to put up their fight. They're going to be a little difficult. They're going to be a little gnats, but I think at the end of the day, the Phillies win it pretty handily both nights, comfortably enough that we're not sitting there feeling any type of way.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys, we thank you so much for listening to our pregame or our pre-series preview. We will be back for reactions to every single playoff game. So hopefully there are at least 13 of those. We know that there will probably be more, but we hope that there are 13 really positive ones, because at the end, if Regz and I get to do a reaction pod to a World Series championship, I don't think you're ever going to see something as special as that. So we will be back after tonight's game. You will get it tomorrow, and then on Wednesday we will be back whenever we can be.
That's right.
But until then, we appreciate you listening. Have a great 6 hours before the game. I know I will. I look forward to catching up with you later, Regz. But until then, go Phils.
Good luck, everyone. Have fun. Go Phils.
Oh my God! Deep to right field, way up there and way out of here.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.